What is going on, guys? Chris Albert here from the Warrior Soul Agoge and the Warrior Soul podcast. And today I want to talk to you about how you can sustain your energy levels. Now, if you know me and you've been around this channel for a while, you know I used to put content like this out all the time. Now it's a little bit less because my priority is with the Warrior Soul podcast, which also gets published on this channel. But I want to tell you, you can find so much helpful material both within this channel and with the podcasts I'm producing right now. Every week, I'm speaking to people who are a lot smarter than I am, a lot more accomplished than I am, bringing them to you, asking them questions that people from my private Facebook group ask me to ask them. So I highly suggest, while watching this video, that you subscribe to this channel, that you hit that little bell so you can get those notifications, but that you also head over to the Warrior Soul podcast on iTunes and subscribe there. You're going to get a whole lot out of it. So, like I said, today I want to talk to you about how you can get better energy throughout the day, more enduring energy throughout the day, feeling like you're present, feeling like you're able to tackle your day's tasks. Most of us, or a lot of us, we get up, we feel like we're moving through mud. Everything feels slower. We're not able to put our thoughts together. We're getting foggy in the brain, right? And a lot of that has to do with some of the little things we're doing throughout the day. Everything I'm going to talk to you about here, the tips that I'm going to bring to you, well, they're easy to implement. Maybe that some of them will be a little bit more difficult. You know what I'm talking about in a second, but none of them are going to require you to move mountains and move earth in order to get them done. All right. So pull out your pen, pull out your piece of paper, and let's get into it. So the first big tip I have for you as far as energy goes is when you're drinking your coffee. All right. So a lot of us will wake up, we roll over, we get out of bed, we trek over to the kitchen, and we turn on the kettle or we turn on the coffee maker, and first thing we do is get that dose of caffeine. Now, I'm still a big coffee drinker. I'm not telling you that you can't drink coffee. I'm not saying that coffee is a bad thing, but when you're timing it really matters. So if you're drinking coffee first thing in the morning, you have to understand what's happening in your body. When you're waking up, you're secreting a lot of cortisol. And a lot of you think that cortisol is a bad hormone. It's not a bad hormone. It's really not. It's something that's actually vital for our survival. We need it. And in fact, we need it to help us to wake up. Cortisol helps us to induce a feeling of wakefulness. And if the first thing you're reaching for is a dose of caffeine, well, what's going to happen is you're going to waste that cortisol. Right? And they're going to counteract each other. You're not only going to waste the cortisol, you're going to waste that caffeine. So what you want to do is you want to let cortisol do its job. Because if you don't, then what's essentially going to happen is you might get a little bit of a burst of energy, but you're going to start crashing by 10 a.m., right? And we all know what that mid-morning crash feels like. Oh, I need another cup of coffee. Oh, I don't know if I'm going to get through this day, right? So delay your intake of caffeine by about 1 to 2 hours. If you can do that, you're going to get a whole lot more out of the cortisol you're secreting in the morning, but you're also going to get a whole lot more out of that coffee you're drinking. In fact, you're going to find a better feeling of wakefulness from the coffee, and that feeling of wakefulness should last you a little bit longer throughout the day, probably up to the mid-afternoon or early afternoon. Again, it's about timing things right and getting more out of your natural hormones and more out of that delicious drink of coffee that you're drinking, right? So try that. Delay your coffee just a little bit. Another big one is hydration, what you're not drinking, which is water. One of the first things you should do in the morning is to start to hydrate yourself. Start drinking water. Just pour a couple of glasses. Drink those glasses. You don't have to chug them, sip them. The other thing you can do is you put a dash of Himalayan pink salt in there to get some good minerals in there, because a lot of us are mineral deficient as well. And that should go a long way in enhancing your energy throughout the day if you're staying adequately hydrated. You should be drinking at least half your body weight in fluid ounces plus an additional 10 ounces per day. For me, I'm drinking about 1.5 gallons to 2 gallons of water a day, which is a little bit much for most of you, right? But I'm extremely active. I'm training all the time, and it really helps me to maintain my energy. Yeah, you're going to pee a lot more, but it's a lot better than going through that fogginess. If you're not hydrated and you're dealing with a dehydrated brain, that's when you start to get that foggy feeling. It's also when you get a lot of body aches, your joints feel a little bit stiffer, your muscles feel a little bit stiffer. And I know for a lot of you who are still training, that delayed onset muscle soreness, it could last a while. Particularly when you get up to being my age, it's really important that you're doing everything you can to recover from your workouts. So, I'm 40 years old, and that takes a lot longer than it used to when I was even, 35. 35, I had no problem whatsoever. 40, I'm like, oh, I need a little bit more. So hydrate, that could go a long way in enhancing your recovery and enhancing your energy throughout the day. The next one is a real basic one. You got to sleep. You got to get 8 hours of sleep a night. If you're not, you are not doing your body or yourself a service. All right. Lack of sleep can decrease your performance like nothing else. And you might feel like it's not affecting you, but it comes in little things, right? When you can't finish a thought, or you're feeling that little bit of lapse of energy later on in the afternoon. You need 8 hours of sleep. The other part of this is that sleep also acts as a preventative measure against a lot of the things that a lot of you are experiencing. I know a lot of you who watch this channel, who listen to the podcast, you're dealing with a lot of digestive issues, right? Because I've had my own digestive issues and I've talked about them a lot here on the channel. So one of the things about sleep is that it helps with cellular turnover. And for the interior lining of your intestinal tract, well, there has to be regularly occurring cellular turnover in there for you to maintain that lining. And if you've watched some of my past videos on digestion, you know that your digestive system, it houses your immune system, it's directly connected to your brain. There's so many things that go on there, right? So if you're creating a permeable digestive tract because you're not allowing for that cellular turnover with good sleep, well, you're putting yourself into a situation where you can get a lot of digestive problems, IBS, IBD, autoimmunity, whole host of issues. Sleep also helps with cellular turnover in your brain. And if you're not allowing for that to happen, that can lead to long-term problems like dementia, Alzheimer's, and in the short term, a whole heck of a lot of brain fog and a big potential for depression, moodiness, and just a general feeling of unease. So make sure you're getting your sleep. Finally, as I've always talked about in all of my fitness videos, you really want to make sure that your nutrition is up to par. If you're eating a bunch of sugar and you're secreting a bunch of insulin all the time, essentially what that's doing is it's sending your blood sugar up and down like a yo-yo, right? So try to at least avoid the processed sugars. Now, I'm an intermittent faster. I fast up until the afternoon. After I get my workout in, that's when I eat. That helps to keep my blood sugar level. Not everybody's an intermittent faster, and I don't recommend it for everybody, particularly people who are prone to adrenal fatigue, particularly women. I don't recommend that you guys go into fasting, or teenagers who are trying to put on muscle, or some of you bodybuilders who are still trying to put on muscle, right? I use intermittent fasting because I'm a business person. I have a lot of work to do early on in the day, and I want to keep my blood sugar level, and I don't want those insulin spikes. But for you guys, at a minimum, try to avoid all the sugar and heavy carb intake early in the day. Don't eat pizza for breakfast, right? You can have some carbs, you can have your oatmeal, you can have your cream of rice if you want to, but don't overload it, right? Make sure you're getting a good protein-filled breakfast. Make sure you're getting some good fats to help to level out that insulin production as well. And that'll go a long way in ensuring that you're getting the energy that you need to do the things that are important to you. All right. So I hope that this was helpful. A lot of it's really basic. A lot of it's stuff that you already know, but I also know that it's really good to reinforce the basics. And I also wanted to do this video to remind you guys that I'm still here. I'm still working. A lot of you are listening to the podcast, and I'm glad that you are, because there's a whole lot that you can get out of the podcast. But I'll try to do more videos where I'm actually talking to the screen and actually, so you guys can actually see me. Like I said, if you haven't subscribed to the podcast yet, please do so. You're going to get a whole heck of a lot out of it. If you like the podcast, please leave us a review on iTunes, and I'll be back at you soon with some more awesome content.